a lot of people don't know what FGM is, and they don't understand the severity of FGM.
Yeah.
So with FGM, there are 4 types of FGM, and I don't think a lot of people know what that is. So type 1 is the removal or partial removal of the clitoris.
Yeah.
Type 2 is the partial or total removal of the clitoris and the labia area as well.
Wow.
And type 3 is narrowing the vaginal area. Type 4, it can be piercings in the vaginal area, and it can also be burning. So they may have burning in the vagina as well.
Yeah.
And that is a part of FGM that a lot of people are not aware of as well.
Oh my
Yeah.
God. Hi and welcome to Faithful Podcast. My name is Mary Alison Momoh. Today's episode is a special one. Not only are we supporting the UK government to raise awareness of honour-based abuse, but we're also marking the start of UN's 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. This global campaign brings people together to raise awareness and take action to end violence against women and girls. As people of faith, we believe that God calls us to protect and care for each other, especially the vulnerable. Today we'll be discussing honor-based abuse, a form of violence that many women face, yet it often goes unspoken. Our hope is that this conversation shines a light on this issue and encourages our community to support those affected. Here to discuss with me more on the subject is Marie-Catherine Kodjo, a registered nurse and founder of nursing platform Nurse Diaries UK, a community committed to providing help and advice to women. She's also founder of Project CIV, a charity committed to helping local women in Côte d'Ivoire maintain, manage, and boost their health and well-being. Marie, you're most welcome to Faithful Podcast.
Thank you so much for having me, honestly.
Marie, this is a very important subject. In fact, the weight of it, oh my God, when you come to think about it, that it's still happening in our day and age. For that person who doesn't know, in fact, before we talk about FGM, can we, first of all, know a little bit about you and why you founded Nurse Diaries and Project CIV?
Okay, so as I said, my name is Marie-Catherine. I started Nurse Diaries UK when I was a student nurse. So that's when I was training to become a nurse. That was about almost 3 years ago now, that I started Nurse Diaries UK just to share my platform, just to share my journey as a nurse. And then when I started nursing and I started my actual job, I felt like I actually needed to discuss what I was doing. So I went into women's health, which is what I do now. So I'm a gynecology nurse. And I feel like it's really important for people who don't know about women's health just to have a greater understanding of what it is. So on my platform, we just speak about everything to do with women's health. So whether it's endometriosis, whether it's uterine fibroids, just everything. I feel like women's health is something that it needs to be spoken about more. And even the topic we're going to be speaking about today is something that I kind of cover on my platform as well. So it just interlinks with women's health in general.
Yeah. Wow, that's an amazing accomplishment. How about Project CIV in Côte d'Ivoire?
So last year, I thought I really want to do something within the community. So as much as I'm doing something with women's health for Nurse Diaries, I wanted to do something for people within Africa. And coming from a background where both parents are from Ivory Coast, I felt like it would be really nice to just do something to give back to people in Ivory Coast and hopefully in the future to broaden that to other countries within Africa. So I decided to create something called Project CIV. So Project CIV is just like my Nurse Diaries platform, but this one specializes on women's health within Côte d'Ivoire. So we speak about everything to do with women's health, especially common topics. So when it comes to uterine fibroids, it's something that's very, very common within Ivory Coast, and a lot of people don't know about it. And so we speak about things like diet, which can actually contribute to the growth of uterine fibroids. And we also speak about everything, even to do with people having their periods. A lot of girls, like young girls, are not aware about their periods. Maybe have never seen the pads before. So just really enhancing people's knowledge and educating people. I feel so blessed to have the opportunity to be where I am, in a position where I'm able to actually share my knowledge to others, and that's exactly what Project CIB is all about.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So, what got you interested in female health? Because I mean, as a nurse, you could have done anything. Yeah. What made you interested in female health?
To be honest, when I first started, when I left university, I went into respiratory nursing, which is just everything to do with respiratory system. But when I was in Ivory Coast, I believe it was 2021. I don't know, guys. I've been too many times now. But I had an interest in nursing anyways. I was still in my I was in my final year of nursing. So
You went Ivory Coast for work or
no, I
holiday?
just went there on holiday with my family.
Alright.
And I asked my uncle if it was possible just to see what he does because he's a doctor.
Okay.
I didn't know what a gynecologist was, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So I went just, a student, just thinking, like, I'm just going to go and learn something new.
Yeah.
I went to watch a myomectomy, which is a removal of uterine fibroids. And this lady had a massive fibroid, and it was causing actually infertility for her.
Yeah.
So when they did remove the fibroid, I just found it so interesting.
Were you in the theatre?
I was in the theatre, and that was my first time even being in theatres. Even within the UK, I'd never been in theatre before.
Yeah.
So I just found it so interesting, and I think from there, that's when my passion for women's health really developed. So I went and did my research, and here I am today.
Wow, amazing. You wonder. I mean, there's so much that can come through just being curious and acting on that curiosity.
Yeah.
So our subject today is female genital mutilation. And for that person that has never heard of the term or doesn't know what is involved or even had it loosely being thrown around, what is female genital mutilation?
So you guys maybe have heard it as FGM. So FGM stands for female genital mutilation. And what is it? A lot of people have heard it, but they don't know what it is. It's basically the partial or complete removal of external genital areas. This can also be classified as injury to the female genital organs.
Yeah.
So what does that mean? It basically means that a lot of the time, it can be females, it can be young women, it can be infants that are affected by this. Around 200 million women globally undergo FGM.
Wow.
So a lot of people don't know what FGM is, and they don't understand the severity of FGM.
Yeah.
So with FGM, there are 4 types of FGM, and I don't think a lot of people know what that is. So type 1 is the removal or partial removal of the clitoris.
Yeah.
Type 2 is the partial or total removal of the clitoris and the labia area as well.
Wow.
And type 3 is narrowing the vaginal area. So a lot of women may not realize until they're much older that maybe they don't have a clitoris, maybe they don't have a labial area, and the vagina is very, very narrow.
Yeah.
So that could be a sign that that individual may have undergone FGM when they were younger.
Wow.
And type 4, it can be piercings in the vaginal area, and it can also be burning. So they may have burning in the vagina as well.
Yeah.
And that is a part of FGM that a lot of people are not aware of as well.
Oh my God.
So there is a lot when it comes to FGM.
Yes,
And I feel like we do tend to just say FGM. But a lot of people don't actually know the severity.
Thank you for breaking it down for us and the severity there is. I mean, these are very painful procedures. Why would people do this to each other?
Yeah, I feel like it's definitely a lack of information and a lack of knowledge. I feel like, especially as a healthcare profession, I've seen women, I've experienced a young girl who was relatively the same age as me, slightly younger than me, come into hospital due to maybe having her first time having sexual intercourse.
Yeah.
And she was in so much pain. She didn't understand why.
Yeah.
And then after doing some examinations, it was apparent that she had actually been a victim of FGM, which is why she was in so much pain. And for her, she didn't really understand what we were telling her. She just knew that she was in a lot of pain.
Yeah.
So I feel like a lack of knowledge is something that's really, really a massive factor into what FGM is, and why people do this to one another. This young girl didn't understand, so she was thinking that, because of her being in so much pain, it's ruined how her vagina looks like. So just explaining to her that no, this is not how your vagina is supposed to look like. This is a picture of a normal vagina in comparison to what you have.
Yeah.
So as I said before, just understanding, teaching people about what it is important, because she didn't know. So maybe if she has children in the future, to her this is normal. So she may be encouraging for them to have their vagina to look a certain way, when in fact she's a victim of something that she maybe doesn't even remember, because she may have been young, or maybe it's trauma for her.
Wow.
Yeah.
But to think that the young lady that came to your practice came because of a lot of pain, and she has access to healthcare. How about the women that do not have access to healthcare, and they're having maybe their first sexual experiences, and it's that painful, and imagine giving birth in that situation as well. So what happens in communities that don't have very good healthcare? How have these women even managed to survive such trauma?
Honestly, when it comes to trauma, I believe over here in the UK, we are fortunate, because if you do, for example, for this young woman, after we explained to her everything, we gave her some support and explained to her there's different societies in the UK that women can reach out to. But when it comes to women abroad, and globally, I think it is something that's hard, and a lot of women actually have to deal with this trauma for the rest of their lives, which is really sad to say, which is why we're here on this platform just speaking about FGM, because it's not something that occurs in a day. It's something that a woman has to deal with for the entire rest of their life. As you said, through childbirth, through even menstrual periods, when they start having their periods, this is something that will be painful. Even the fact that this can actually risk and increase the risk of these individuals having urinary tract infections, just due to the fact that they've had FGM as well. So it's something really to be mindful about. Yeah.
In your research, where do these practices come from? I want to understand the mind of people that came up with such practices. Do you know of why these practices are done and why they've been propagated through the years, through the generations?
To be honest with you, after doing research, there's not an exact reason as to why. There's many different reasons as to why it can be done. A lot of the time, the common factor is cultural reasons. A lot of people think that it is for purity. When a woman has their vagina looking a certain way, it means that they are clean. But that is not the case, and it's really sad that people do think that, which is why we are here to explain this in more depth. Also, a lot of the time people think it's actually religious reasons, which is incorrect. So if anybody's watching this and thinks that this is due to religious reasons, it's not. Because honestly, nowhere in the Bible does it talk about having FGM. So it's something that we need to bear in mind if that is the motive behind it. But yeah, there's no exact reason as to why.
To think that the clitoris is the organ that brings sexual pleasure to the woman, and that's been partially removed or taken away. Is it something that, I don't know who came up with it, but was it to reduce the woman's pleasure or the ability to enjoy sex?
Yeah, I think that's where we go on the terms of honor-based abuse as well. Because it's a lot of the time honor-based abuse is about taking the pride away from an individual, and I believe that, as you said, is taking pride from that individual, because they're not able to enjoy themselves in the future. Not only that, but also just have the opportunity to be themselves. They're not able to do that. That's stripped away from them at an age where they're not able to consent to anything, because they don't know about it. As we spoke about, it can happen within infancy all the way up to the age of 15. So yeah.
So who gets the honor? Because it's honor-based abuse. So who gets the honor? Is it the man who's going to marry this girl?
I believe so. And sometimes even families, they say, okay, well, my daughter's had FGM. This will upgrade her bridal price. And it's like, no, that shouldn't be something that we speak about.
Even be proud about, All right. Tell us, is FGM illegal in the UK?
Yes, it is. So there's the FGM Act 2003 that states that FGM is absolutely illegal in this country, and it should not be done at all.
Yes.
There's also a serious act which was done in 2015, and that speaks about FGM. Some people unfortunately still believe that it's something that has to be done, it's a must for their child. So sometimes they actually take their child abroad back home for it to be done to them, and that's illegal so in this country. So you cannot take a child from the UK abroad to have FGM done. It's illegal. And if you know somebody that does that, it's also something that you need to speak up about, or else you could actually be sent to prison or have a very big charge for knowing this information and withholding it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. How can Christian communities help, sensitize their congregation about FGM?
I think it's important as Christians to really think about our roles on the earth.
Yes.
We're all here for a reason. I've spoken about how I'm here to really share my knowledge to others.
Yes.
And I feel like if you know a bit about FGM, or even by watching this, you've learned something about FGM,
Yes.
why not share what you've learned to others?
Yes.
There are people that maybe amongst you who maybe have had FGM and it's a trauma they have to live with. As Christians, why not be loving, be kind, ask these individuals how they are. Maybe not ask too much invasive questions. Let the individual actually speak about it themselves, because it's something that's traumatic.
Yeah.
But also, yeah, for those who may not know about FGM, share the awareness, share the fact that if this is happening, who they need to contact? They need to contact the police.
Yes.
There's even charities. There's a charity called Freedom Charity that I was researching about, and they actually come to local communities or schools and speak about FGM. So if it's something that maybe within the church, there's a few people who maybe have undergone it or maybe are talking about FGM, maybe you can ask charities to come to the church, maybe have an evening where they speak about FGM in depth as well, which would be really nice.
So tell me, when someone rings 999, I mean, to contact the police, would they ring 999 or go to their local police station?
It depends. If it's something that's happening there and then immediately, like at home, definitely call 999. That is abuse, and it's something that needs to be stopped immediately.
Yes.
If it's something that has happened to an individual already, then yes, they can go to the police station and report it, because it's something that we need to take seriously. And we also need to understand the figures of how many people is this happening to in this day and age, because it's something that we're trying to cut down, and in the future we don't want to be speaking about FGM, saying that there's new victims, because we want this to be eradicated completely.
What can someone look out for? Because now we're being educated in FGM and its dangers. And so while we're in the community just minding our own business, how can we begin to look out? What things should we look out for in someone who's probably undergoing it, who has undergone it or undergoing it, or the threat of undergoing it?
So I think, first of all, I'd say social behaviors as well. These individuals tend to be very withdrawn from society, only because they may not feel comfortable in an environment where there's a lot of people. So that's why inclusion is very important. And especially as Christians, to include everybody in everything that we do is very important. I would also say just asking questions. You never know until you ask. And somebody will never feel comfortable until you've actually had that level of speaking to one another to begin with. So I think that's the first step that you should make.
Without pointing fingers at certain cultures or countries, are there certain countries that this practice is majorly practiced and still practiced?
Yes. I will speak specifically about Somalia as an example. And the reason why I'm using Somalia as an example is because I think recently, actually, I saw a lady, she's a reality TV star called, I think it's Chanel Ayan, and she spoke about her experience undergoing FGM, and this is a massive platform. She's a model, so speaking about this was something that we saw on TV, emotionally challenging for her. And unfortunately, she faced a lot of backlash from her own people from Somalia due to opening up about this. So it's something that still does happen, because people were sending her a lot of threats, explaining, why are you doing this? talking badly about our people. But in reality, all she done was just educate people on the fact that this is something she thought was normal. It was completely normalized, and it's not okay. So just making sure that, you know, other people are aware about it is important.
I'm just feeling that women, well, some women may think it's honor, but I think others are just they're just forced to bear with the trauma and the pain of it. So who is really perpetuating this? Is it the men? Because some men will say, I will not marry a woman who's not undergone FGM, because it's all about the sexual organ, you know. So is it really the men that are perpetuating this practice? Because woman to woman, there's no benefit in it, is it?
Do you know what? I think it actually is both.
Yeah.
And the reason why I think it's both is because unfortunately men have influenced women over the years to think that this is something that must happen, to the extent that you have women who are actually making other young infants, sending them to these places, very, very much aware of what will happen when that child goes and is taken away. So a lot of the time, because women, it's normality for them, they believe that everybody else must do the same thing. So from a mother to a child, a mother only wants to love and protect their child. But if they've been shown the wrong ways of doing so, then that is a factor. And for the men who are watching this, or men in general, they need to understand that this is a lifelong problem. This is not something that is about purity. This is something that can cause immense pain for women in the future, from childbirth complications to infections. So it's something that men really need to understand, that it's not okay, and understand that this is something that will really impact women, not only physically, but even the traumas, the stories of young kids being taken away in the dark, being in pain.
And from a Christian perspective, if it's something that God wanted removed, you know,
Exactly.
it would at one point, because at one point when a lady is developing, when it's time puberty, the breasts grow, all sorts of things happen to their body naturally.
Exactly.
Yeah, to show puberty and and growth. So if it was something that God wanted,
we would know.
You would know. It would happen naturally.
He formed us in the way that he wanted us to be. We are the perfect versions of ourselves. Why should we change this? I feel like even when it comes to tattoos, everybody speaks about tattoos. If God didn't create a tattoo on you, why are you embedding something on your skin? So if you are an advocate for that, then think about FGM. He created us in the most perfect way possible. Why are you shaving, cutting, doing all of this?
And these are permanent marks. Because at least a tattoo can be
removed. This is something for life. So please, I don't like when people are hypocrites, basically. That's why I even use that example. Just don't be a hypocrite. If you're doing A and you're like against something else, just think to yourself, as you said, this is something that cannot be undone. It's something there for life. And even if they have surgery to reconstruct the vagina, this is trauma that will be there forever. So really put that into aspects. And
Wow. FGM. So how is this awareness happening in the UK? Because I mean, I've lived in the UK for a very long time, and I have not seen any posters up, any sort of campaign anywhere on media. Where is this campaign happening in the UK?
I feel like they started with schools to begin with, because I remember when I was in school, I was taught about it, which is important, because I feel like a lot of infants, a lot of young girls in primary schools, because I think it was in primary school that I was taught about it, from a young age need to know. If their family are not willing to speak about it, at least they know, so that they can train their kids into knowing that this is something that's not correct. I also feel like, as I spoke about, there's the Freedom Charity that are going to schools as well, which is so vital for infants and also for parents as well. It's something that their children are going to tell them about as well, which they're, maybe if it was okay at the time for these adults, at least the children are teaching the adults that no, this is not okay. And also I feel like the campaign that the UN are doing as well is something that is important, and we're here and we're dedicating an entire week to speaking about domestic violence and all of this. So
Yes. That's amazing. That's really amazing. So can you tell us how someone can get in touch with you?
yes. So, as I said before, I have a platform called Nurse Diaries UK where I speak about women's health and my nursing experience. And I also have Project CIV. So, Nurse Diaries UK is on Instagram and on YouTube as well. And Project CIV, we only have a Instagram platform at the moment, but we tend to expand on everything soon. But yeah, so you can find me on Project CIV for everything to do specifically with women's health, specifically with Africa, and African women as well. So that is the platform to find me on.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Marie, for coming to talk to us and teach us about female genital mutilation. So for myself and Marie, we just want to wish you a very good day and thank you so much for watching. Please do subscribe to our YouTube channel. The details are on the screen, and also follow Marie on her Instagram platform. So until next time, bye-bye.
Bye.
If you or anyone you know has been affected by honor-based abuse, please call the Safe Arms helpline on 078 77 586 338 for free and confidential support, or visit safearms.org.uk for more information. Engaging, inspiring, uplifting, captivating, thought-provoking, insightful conversations, stories, and faith-filled moments. It's Faith Flow Podcast, Christian conversations that get you thinking. Faith Flow Podcast by Faithful TV.